So students, as you know, we are discussing about the periodic properties. This is our periodic properties. This is our today's lecture also, module 1, and the lecture number is 6. So these are the some of the objectives of the class. Today we will discuss about the ionization potential. What is ionization potential? We can define, and also we will see what is the trend of ionization potential along the groups and along the periods. Again, we will discuss about the electron affinity, and also we will discuss about the electronegativity in detail. Last time we have discussed electron affinity and electronegativity in brief. Today we will discuss in detail what will be their trend, what will be the what will be the trend of electron affinity or electronegativity along the groups and periods, and what will be the differences between them. Okay, this is the recapitulation of uh, last class. So in last class we have discussed about the Mendeleev's periodic table. We have seen the merits and demerits of the Mendeleev periodic table. We have seen also what are the groups and what are the periods in periodic table we have. Actually, all the columns are called by the groups, and all the rows, whatever rows are we have, that is called by the periods. Next, we have seen the modern periodic table. And also we have seen the atomic radius and its trend, and the classification. Sorry. Okay, and modern periodic table, and also we have seen the atomic radius and its trend. Okay, so these are the some of the topics that we have discussed. So now I will show one video, that is in that video, if you see, then you can just remember whatever we have discussed. We have taught we know about the Mendeleev's periodic table, merits, demerits, is its groups and periods, the modern periodic table, and the atomic radius. So just watch the video, and again you can memorize all the topics, as this is the continuation of the last day. So that's why you should remember whatever topics we have discussed in the previous class. So after the Newland's failure, then Mendeleev's Russian chemist, so he has discovered one periodic table. He experimented that the elements, and he discovered that the relationship between the atomic masses and the physical and chemical properties of elements. And after that, he discovered that the fundamental property is related with the atomic mass. So he has arranged all the elements according to their atomic masses, where 63 elements are known as Mendeleev's periodic table. So according to Mendeleev's law, the physical and chemical properties of elements are a periodic function of their atomic masses. So, in this periodic table, whatever rows we have, that are called by the periods, and total we have 7 rows, 7 periods, and whatever columns are we have, that is groups, and we have total 8 groups. So Mendeleev kept some spaces blank. So these are the yet to be discovered, and he has named that as the Aka boron, Aka aluminium, and Aka silica. He has also predicted their properties, and after that, while the inert gases discovered, they put the separate into the separate column without disturbing the Mendeleev's periodic table. But also we have some of the demerits. What are the demerits? That is the hydrogen, place of the hydrogen, as hydrogen has the similarities with the alkali metals as well as the halogens. Again, for cobalt and nickel also there will be some of the irrelevant things like cobalt. The atomic mass is 58.93, but the nickel, that is 58.71, but still nickel is after the cobalt. Again, in the halogen group, here some of the elements are there for which the properties are totally different, like manganese is the totally different, having the different property. So these are the some of the demerits which need improvement. Now, 1930, Henry Moseley discovered that the fundamental property is related with the atomic number, not the atomic masses. So he arranged all the elements according to their atomic number. So modern periodic law, according to this law, the chemical and physical properties of elements are a periodic function of their atomic number, not the atomic masses. The periodic table based on modern periodic law is called by modern periodic table. So here all the elements are arranged according to their atomic number. So this is the total revision of the previous class, students, and now we will move to the next class. Okay, now I think that you have taken a glance whatever I have discussed in the previous class, and now you can remember the Mendeleev's periodic table, the modern periodic table, and what are the demerits and merits of the Mendeleev's periodic table. Now these are the some of the today's topic, that is ionization potential. Very important, ionization potential. What is ionization potential? The minimum amount of energy required to remove the most loosely bound electron, the valence electron of an isolated neutral gaseous atom or molecule. It is quantitatively expressed as X gaseous state plus energy, and it will remove one electron, release one electron, and it will form the X plus the cation we will get. So ionization potential or ionization energy is defined as from the outermost orbital, if we want to remove one electron. Okay, if we remove this electron from this outermost orbital, what will happen? So some of the energy we have to give, because this electron is attracted by the nucleus, right? So for the removal of this electron, some of the energy we have to give. So this minimum energy is called by the ionization potential. The minimum energy required to remove one electron from its outermost orbital from a neutral gaseous atom. Understand? So after the removal of one electron, obviously this element, while releasing one electron, it will make the cation. Okay, it will be the cation and the electron. So for this, whatever energy we are requiring, that is called by the ionization potential. Okay, So now this is the trend of the ionization potential. You can see if we go towards the right side, that means along the group, along the periods, if we go from the left to right along the periods, what will happen? The ionization energy increases. Why increases? Because we all know that from left to right, if we go along the period, what will happen? The size will be smaller, right? So if the size will be smaller, what will happen? That means the outermost orbital electron will be holding or will be bounded by this nucleus more strongly than this. Okay, so what will happen? The smaller atom means the nucleus will hold the outermost orbital electron more strongly than the larger atom. So that is why what will happen? That time we have to break that attraction force and we have to remove that electron. So for that, obviously we should have the higher ionization energy. Higher energy we have to give so that that electron will be removed from the outermost orbital. Understand? So that is why from left to right, if we go along the periods, that means the ionization energy increase. And again, while if we go bottom to top, what will happen? Again the size will decrease. That is the same effect. So the increase in ionization energy we will see. So this is the trend of the ionization energy along the groups and along the periods. Now you can see from this graph, you can see that all the, look here, all the neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, so all these are the inert gas. Okay, so this inert gas, for this inert gas, the ionization potential is very high. You can see why very high? Because they are full-filled shell, right? So all the inert gas material elements having the full-filled shell, right? Full-filled shell means they are very much stable. Now from this full-filled shell, if we want to remove one electron, that means we have to destroy that full-filled shell. We have to destroy that stability. So for this, we have to give much more energy than the other elements. That is why for all this for all these the inert gas materials, inert gas elements, we have the higher ionization potential. Okay, now next we have one first ionization energy, second ionization energy and third ionization energy. Now what does it mean? First ionization energy means if we want to remove one electron from the outermost orbital, whatever energy we have to give, that is called by first ionization energy. That means X is our element. From this X, one electron will be removed. That is why X plus will be generated and this is the electron. Okay. Now second ionization energy. What is second ionization energy? Second ionization energy is if we if we again want to remove another more electron from this orbital, like this electron we want to remove from this outer, this electron. Okay, this electron we want to remove from the outermost orbital again. So what will happen? For that also we have to give some energy. Okay, so this much energy is called by second ionization energy. That means for removal of second electron again, whatever energy we have to give, that is called by second ionization energy. So again from this X plus element, we have to remove one more electron, so that will become X plus 2. and one electron will be released. Now third, the same similar way, third ionization energy means again if we want to remove another more electron, like this electron we want to remove, so again we have to give one more energy. So that energy is called by third ionization energy. That means already X plus 2 has been produced. So from this X plus 2 again we want to remove one electron and it will become X plus 3. Okay, so these are the definition of first ionization energy, second ionization energy and third ionization energy. Now, can anyone say what will be the order of first ionization energy, second ionization energy and third ionization energy? Which for which case we will require the higher amount of energy? Can anyone tell? Yes, this is the answer. The order is obviously first ionization energy is less than second ionization energy is less than third ionization energy. Why? Why? Because look, if we have this material, this is phosphorus, right? So from the outer orbital, we have removed one electron. Okay, now what is the count of the electron? If one electron will be removed from the outer orbital, that means the 14 electron will be there. Okay, so this is the first ionization energy. Now, again, I want to remove another more electron. So, for this case, what will happen? The 14 electron from this, if one electron will be removed, then the number of electron will be less. That means the now previously 15 electron is bounded by the nucleus. Now, after removal of one electron, now 14 electron is bound by the electron nucleus. So that means these 14 electron will experience the attraction force more than the previous case, right? Okay, now after again this electron I want to remove. So after removal of the second electron, then 13 electron remaining. So this 13 electron then again will be bounded by the nucleus more strongly, because the number of electrons are decreasing. That is why the first ionization energy is less than the second ionization energy than the third ionization energy. That means for third electron, for the removal of the third electron, we have to apply more energy, because that time the electron will be bounded by the nucleus very strongly. That is why the third ionization energy will be high. Okay, understand? And obviously there will be some of the exceptional cases that also we will discuss. Okay, now one question I have I have given you. How would you explain the fact that the first ionization enthalpy or energy of sodium is lower than that of the magnesium, but its second ionization enthalpy is higher than that of the magnesium? How can you uh, explain this? Okay, whatever I have discussed, based on that you can explain this. So for this you have 10-second time. Now your time starts now. Yeah, your time is over, and yes, of course the answer is here. Look here. So to answer this question, first of all, you should know the electron configuration, right? Electronic configuration of sodium, and what is the electronic configuration of magnesium that you should know. So for sodium, what is this? That is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 and 3s1, because for sodium we have 11 electrons. So 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1, right? For magnesium, 12 electrons as this is. So that means 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 and 3s2. So magnesium is having the full filled shell. The s orbitals or 3s orbital is having the 2 electron. That means full filled shell, right? Now what will happen? Look, so if we want to remove this electron from the sodium, after removing this electron, what will happen? Then sodium will get the full filled shell, 1s to 2s to 2p6, right? Yes. And so this is your first ionization energy. For magnesium, what will happen? Already magnesium is fulfilled, right? So after that, 3s2. For the magnesium, we have the 3s 2. So s orbital is already fulfilled. So from this, one electron removal is very difficult. So that is why the first ionization energy of magnesium will be higher than the sodium. Now what will happen? Look, for the sodium, the second ionization energy, what about the second ionization energy? That means from this full fish shell, if we want to remove one electron, the full fish shell will be destroyed. That means stability will be really decreased. That is why for the second ionization energy of the sodium will be very high. Okay. And for magnesium, what will happen? After the this removal of this, we have 3s1, right? 3s1. Now again, for the second ionization energy, again we want to remove this electron. So what will happen? It is very easy to remove this electron, because after removal of this electron, the magnesium will get the full filled shell. That is why second ionization energy will be high for the sodium and it will be low for the magnesium. So this is a whole explanation of the question. So first of all, you have to write down the electronic configuration, and after that you can explain. Okay, next we will discuss about the electron affinity. Electron affinity means generally just this is the opposite of the ionization energy. That means if we want to add one more electron in the outermost orbital, okay, so some of the energy will be released. That minimum energy release, that is called by electron affinity. The energy released when an electron is added to a gaseous atom which is in its ground state to form a gaseous negative ion is defined as the electron affinity. Okay, the first electron affinities of elements are negative. This is the exceptional case for the group 8 and group 2a that we will discuss later. Okay, the electron falls into the electrostatic field which is yielded by the atomic nucleus of neutral atom and lead to the potential reduction, and that is why the energy of the system will be reduced, and that is why the first electron affinity always the negative. The second electron affinity, what will happen? Of all elements are always positive. Why? Because the negative ion is a negative electric, having the negative electric field. Okay. Now, other electron enter into the negative field. Energy has to be applied to the system to overcome the repulsion exactly, and that is a that is the negative. That time the negative electric field will interact with the electron, and that is why it is the positive. Okay, and next is electron affinity. Generally, what is the trend of electron affinity? Generally decreases from left to right. electron affinity, if we go along the periods, okay, left to right, what will happen? The electron affinity generally decreases, and electron affinity generally increases from top to bottom. If we go down the groups, then it will increase. Okay, whatever I have told you, that just see, this is the modern periodic table, and if we go towards the right side, it will increase, and again if we top to bottom, or if we go from bottom to top, again it will increase. Understand? So this is the trend of electron affinity throughout the throughout the whole periodic table. Now you here, this is a graph where you can see this is a graph of atomic number versus electron affinity. Okay, so you can see fluorine, chlorine, here bromine, iodine, all the halogens are there. The electron affinity is higher, okay, for all the halogens we have. So this is one of the special features. Okay, now next topic is electronegativity. What is electronegativity? Generally, electronegativity is defined as a chi. Okay, and this is generally ability, or this is the capability, the property or tendency. This is a tendency to pull the bonded electron towards itself. That is called by electronegativity. Now you can see in the picture, that is a H2O molecules. Okay, this is oxygen, and this are the hydrogen. So above the hydrogen we have the delta plus, because here in between hydrogen and oxygen, oxygen is the most electronegative atom. That is why what will happen, the oxygen will pull the electrons, bonded electrons, towards itself. So all the covalent bonded electrons will to some extent will go towards the oxygen atom, and that is why oxygen will be partially negatively charged and hydrogen will be partially positively charged. Okay. Sorry. So this property is called by electronegativity. Okay, so the electronegativity of a non-metal is larger than that of the metal. For the elements of one period, the electronegativity increases from left to right, and also from the group, it decreases from top to bottom. That means the same electronegativity, you can see electronegativity while we are go towards the right side along the period, what will happen, electronegativity will decrease, electronegativity will increase, and while we go top to bottom, the size will increase, and that is why the decrease of electronegativity will take place. Okay, so this is the electronegativity trend of the electronegativity. You can see the same electronegativity increases. Why increases? Because the size effect, the size will decrease. The size decrease, that means nuclear power will be increased, and that is why the addition of electron will be stable, much more stable in the outermost orbital. And down the group, what will happen, the electronegativity decreases, as because again this is because of the size, that size is very high. The size will be larger top to bottom. If you go down the group, the size will increase, and the decrease of attraction force, and that is why the electronegativity also decreases. Okay, now next question is, give one example of metalloids, alkali metals and halogens. So this is the question based on the previous class. Okay, so already you know about the Mendeleev's periodic table, you know about the modern periodic table, you know about the rows and what are the rows, what are the periods. Now you have to answer this question. So this is just a quick review. Whatever you have understood, I can uh, get that you have actually understood all the things or not. Then according to that, I will repeat the chapter. Then give one example of metalloids, alkali metals and halogens. And for that you have the 10-second time. Now your time starts now. Yeah, your 10-second time is over. Now absolutely right you are. And the examples are the metalloids. Metalloids means the metal, some of the property of the metals are there, and some of the metallic properties also there in this element, and that is the example is silicon. Now alkali metals, that is the sodium, and the halogen, all you know, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. So fluorine is one of the example of halogens. Okay, so this is a quick review. Okay, now this is a recapitulation. So today we have discussed about the ionization potential. The definition of ionization potential. We have seen what is the trend of ionization potential. That means according to the groups, according to the periods, what will be the change of ionization potential, right? And also we have seen the first ionization potential, second ionization potential and third ionization potential, and they are ordered, which will be for which case we will require higher amount of energy. That also we have seen. Next we have seen the electron affinity. Okay, so electron affinity, that means the addition of electron in the outermost orbital, right? So electron affinity, we have defined the electron affinity. We have seen what is the trend of electron affinity, right? Okay, next is electronegativity. Again, the definition we have seen, and what are the this is a property. Actually, this is a property of pulling the electrons, bonded electron towards itself. That is called by electronegativity. Okay, and also we have seen the trend of the what is the trend of the electronegativity in the periodic table. That also we have seen. Now from this question, now from this portion, you can have, this is a very common question. Okay, what are the differences between electron affinity and electron negativity? So you have to first mm, tell them first write down like this the definition. First define the electron affinity and electronegativity. Electron affinity, then you have to write down the trend of the electron affinity and electronegativity along the groups and periods. So very common question and very easy question. If you have followed my class, then you can get the question also. So next day we will discuss about the Fazan's rule, the polarizing power, the polarizability, which is very important and which is very conceptual. Okay, some of the, to some extent it is tricky, so you have to understand very well, otherwise you cannot get what is the Fazan's rule. So thank you students, and have a good day.